Welcome back to What's Your Story? In 1977, I was aboard the USS Constellation CV-64 on the Westpac cruise on the Pacific Ocean. We used Subic Bay, Philippines as our home port. This story's setting begins there. The Constellation CV-64, a Kitty Hawk class carrier, was commissioned in 1961 and served for 41 years and involved in the Vietnam War, Operation Desert Storm, and the Iraqi War. She was decommissioned in 2003 and then later scrapped. She was just shy of 1,100 feet long. And on our cruise, we had a complement of 52,000, or yeah, right, 5,250 men that included the ship's company and the air wing, which I was in. I was in Squadron VA 146 and worked in the AIMD, Aviation Intermediate Maintenance Department, and worked on the heads-up display system. We departed San Diego on April 12th, 1977, which was her 10th deployment to the Western Pacific, or Westpac, as part of the U.S. 7th Fleet. Our other ports of call were Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Interesting story there. That's where I met Wilt Chamberlain for a very brief moment as we were on the beach, and Wilt and some of the other players just walked on by and gave us a salute and said, "Hey, boys, how you doing?" That was kind of cool. And then Subic Bay, Philippines, that's where we would come in after doing maybe a 14 to a 3 week line period. And then we would come back in port for a week or two and then go back out. And then Singapore. That was a very interesting time. I was playing on the ship's soccer team at that point in time as well. And we got to tour around through Singapore quite a bit doing that. And then Hong Kong. Hong Kong, I took some beautiful pictures on top of Mount Victoria, and you'll see the one picture of the Connie, as we called her, down off the ocean from Victoria Point or Victoria Peak, and the cog train that took us up. I knew it was very, very steep, but people went up it every day. They had houses up there, and it was a little scary, but it was fun. And then off to Busan, or what was formerly Busan, South Korea. An interesting story there. We went to a factory, and it was a textile factory, and I bought wool sweaters for my entire family. They averaged around $5 a piece, and some of them had Woolrich on them. It was quite interesting, all brand names, but the price was right. And then, of course, we went to Yokosuka, Japan, and that's one area. I never left the base there. It was a very large base, and so there was enough to do. And my buddy and I, that I palled around with during the cruise, we used to go to the restaurant. At that local restaurant, the one thing that we enjoyed quite a bit was the London broil, and the price was right. While ported in Subic Bay, I was off duty somewhere on base or in the city of Olongapo, which was the city that bordered the naval base when this story occurred. And then all of a sudden, the warning foghorn of the Connie, as we all called her, began to bellow. That defining sound meant all the crew had to hurry to get on board before she cast off. If one missed movement, there would be consequences which ranged from reduction of rank, forfeiture of pay, up to dishonorable discharge, and no one even wanted to attempt any of that fate. Thankfully, all the crew made it back to the ship and learned that a typhoon was about to hit the port, and no aircraft carrier wants to be tied up in port during a typhoon. She can ride out the storm much better at sea. In the deep waters, there the ship has much more room to maneuver and pitch with the ocean swells. That's in the shallow harbor waters, the danger multiplies as waves and extreme currents hit the ship. Well, research shows that the Connie departed Subic Bay in the fall of 1977 to evade Typhoon Kim. I didn't know it at the time, but great thing when you research, right? Well, in the Philippines, it was known as Typhoon Unding. It was a violent Category 4 equivalent storm tracked through the region, forcing naval vessels to leave port and ride out the severe weather, as I had said. Most of the aircraft were taken off the flight deck and secured in the hangar bay with steel-chained tie-downs. According to Google AI Overview, the standard tie-down chain is 9 feet long, and with the ratchet, it can weigh up to 12 pounds. Why do I bring that up? Well, the tie-down is one of the principal characters in this story. Depending on the weather conditions, 4 to 20 tie-downs can be used to secure an F-14 Tomcat fighter jet. During this typhoon, one can only guess the maximum was required. That means tie-downs were the labor of the day. Well, during the typhoon, all departments were in a lockdown situation. All hatches had to be secured, and even the hangar bay doors were closed. My shop hatch, of course, was secure, but we had a door inside that led to the internal ladderway that led to the other areas of the AIMD department. Well, my friend and I had never seen what a typhoon looks like, so we went up to the catapult shop to see if our friend that we called LTCDW, short for long, tall, cool drink of water, he was quite tall, and we asked if he would like to sneak out with us to see what a typhoon looks like. Once a zebra hatch is closed, they are not to be opened during general quarters, battles, or emergencies. They are to remain closed unless ordered by the captain or the XO, the executive officer, gives a command to open it. If caught, the maximum consequences would have been restriction to the ship, forfeiture of pay, reduction in rank, and extra duties. But open that hatch we did. And as fate would have it, I might add the providence of our Maker, we got the message very quickly why the zebra hatch is to remain closed. We opened that hatch at the precise time one of those 12-pound aircraft tie-downs flew horizontally past the opening of that hatch that if it had hit me square on the side of the head, I venture I would have gone right out with it. That was enough need to know to satisfy our curiosity as we immediately closed the hatch and hurried back to our duty stations. Well, we all know how the curiosity of a cat can end up, and I am very thankful my ending was just a harsh lesson. My curiosity did teach me another lesson about the force of a typhoon. I do not know the exact wind force acting upon our beloved Connie, but it was enough to cause a 12-pound tie down to go airborne. So, what's your story?